Hey, how's it going, guys? DJ Av here, and today we're going to be talking about snare synthesis. And this series is like all other series, basically teaches you how to use stuff and how to do certain things within your DAW of choice. And we're going to pick out a particular VST. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and say you should check out 88 Party Forever, the drum kit. It's pretty good. I think if you like any of the tips that are in this video of how to make certain snares or something like that, you'll like it. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we?
Crabtendo.
So I have a drum track up and I am using a different type of synth today, and the synth of choice is going to be Bazille, and Bazille is by U-he, and which is a company that I really do like. I really think that they are an adequate company. Pardon me, And as I get into it, it is a modulation synth or a modular synth or an emulation of one. And just a fun tip here, this VST itself costs $129, which is usually mind-blowing to the community. But if you was to actually go out and get a modular synth of this magnitude and get all the VCOs, the VCAs, the LFOs and such of that nature, and even the sequencer itself, it'll probably run you up to like $2,000. So with Bazille, there are some certain things that I really like about this VST, and that is close as you can get to a VST version of a modular synth. Some people may argue with me, especially the elitists out there, but even the elitists will appreciate some of the qualities from this. So let's go ahead and get into it. As we have the drum line here and the melody, and I also use Bazille for, I'm going to go ahead and engage the snare that we're going to work on. So as I mute the melody, I just want to point out a few key tips when you're making a snare. All snares are made of either a waveform and a noise oscillator, and if that is true, and there are other tips as well as far as setting up your envelope. So let's go ahead and get into that. So in particular, you would want to use a sine wave. 2 pulse works as a sine wave. If you go and you adjust the phase or the pulse width. So that being said, I need to dial in some white noise. So white noise would go into this right here, into the output. So you can see it kind of develop itself here. So there's some key things missing. I definitely would have to do this right here and turn down the sustain in envelope 1, seeing that this was the volume is corresponding to envelope 1. You can select which envelope that you want to modulate. So I'm going to turn down the release as well and turn down the decay until there's a specific snap to it. One other thing that I should note to y'all, this multiplex kind of works like how the mod matrix works. So I'm probably going to go ahead and route the white noise to the multiplex, so I can turn down the volume of the get her out the way. So I'm going to go ahead and route the modulation right here, or the white noise right here. Now I'm bringing it back in, and we already have a nice sound here. So the next thing I had to do is probably just add up turn up the volume a little bit. That's with the semitones. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the semitones right here. it down a little lower. Now you almost can see where everything is kind of working itself into each other. The only other thing now is working the volume into what you have a filter right here. Now you're not going to hear the sine wave anymore because I want to run through the bandpass filter. So I mean the low pass filter, and I'm probably going to use a 6 decibel. Now you can hear it again. Now I will have direct control over the harmonics, and if I was to use the cutoff right now, you would only hear the noise. Now, true indeed, this will work best if I was to do this right here. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to route the noise into the low pass filter as well. As you can see, of course, the immediate feature that you'll understand right here as the snare is kind of developing itself is that if I was to push the gain up, the overall volume is turned up within the low pass filter or the filter of choice that I'm using. So, you know, and you can make a couple of adjustments to the decay. Sometimes you might want to add some release, depends on you. If I was to add a lot of release, it would sound like this. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. Also, keep in mind that if you want certain resonance or certain things of that nature, you gotta route it to it, and see what happens here. Now I'm gonna turn up the volume a little bit of the. Oscillator 1. Now everything is up to your imagination here as I go ahead and play the melody again. Check a couple of things. Now the snare is starting to sound like a snare, and recently so I haven't done much as possible. One of the great things I want to point out about Bazille is its effects cabinet. The effects cabinet is very good. A lot of the emulations and stuff like that come from kind of just like old school stuff. Like it's using, as you know, rock and roll, you know, became heavy metal because of distortion, because of how certain VCAs or transistors started reacting after either malfunctioning or whatnot. And key engineers figured out how to make it a consistent thing and how to emulate it on a constant basis within the transistors and the VCAs. So, you know, with that being said, you could just add some distortion. And they have a guitar cabinet. The guitar cabinet itself, as you can hear, starts cooking the snare and changing the waveforms. The particular saturation gives it a snap. And that's not all. Messing with the pre-tilt and the post-tilt and the center frequencies shifting that, you can have different types of snaps. And it even gets better from there. You could actually change the tube. Actually, yeah, use pre-tilt. Just for kicks and giggles, I'm gonna dial in and dial out the center frequency so you can hear a couple of differences here. As you can see, the body changes of the snare. Another cool thing, you guys can see it visually here. Having a, oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called, a oscilloscope right in front of you, it definitely helps. But I do want to make one key note here. If you are on like an older PC or anything of that nature, it is time to step your game up and get a multi-core, because this VST that is right in front of us, it will benefit best from something of like a gaming laptop or just a laptop that has a lot of RAM, that has a multi-core processor. You know, you definitely want to go and check out some of the i7's core processors of the modern day, maybe the 6th generation. Myself, I'm running a 4th gen 4710. I have a rather large snare right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and do different things, like getting the level correct. Turn up the beat. Now we have a kick. I do know that everything is in the red right now. I just wanted you to feel how analog the snare sounds, because this 808 snare in particular has a prestige snap to it. You could do other things as far as messing with the distortion cabinet within Bazille and adding highs. Or even adding more low. Go ahead and add that 808 back in there. So, one thing I want to definitely do in particular is I'm going to turn this beat down a little bit. We're going to focus on more key things, such like the spring reverb. Now, this spring reverb is very special. I mean, it's much different than any other reverb that I mess with, and the fact that you can mess with the width and widen the reverb, and you can hear it. You know, of course, you can go wet, dry, parallels, and parallel right now. Or I can just turn it off right there. Or I can just drain it. So I'm going to keep it parallel right now. And, you know, you could do other things as far as missing the drive, which... like specifically cutting out the high frequency content and just leaving just a little bit of the low frequency content with the reverb. But if I was to turn it up or make it parallel, you could see it as wet and dry. I like it like that. And you can mess with the tension, but it affects the speed of it. Stuff like tone. Which focuses on focusing of the tone of like either if you want it in high or low. And the decay, which works just like the ADSR decay. Less you put in, the less reverb, the more reverb. Mess with the tension again. Now we have a kind of a different snare now. Please note that you can add delay if you want to. Really doesn't fit the snare. And you have other things like phaser, where you can sync it. Drain it. Make it parallel. Change the rate. Definitely, if you go change feedback. Let's turn this beat back up. Keep in mind, you can try out other distortions like fullback. I'll turn off spring reverse so you can actually hear everything. You see how rude that is towards versus. Make various adjustments. I'm gonna mess with the post filter a little bit. Put in there for spring reverb again. Last but not least, you can still mess with the envelope, and we're gonna go ahead and bring that melody back in. Bring in that 808. And the claps. And that is your snare. That's very good. So if you like this video, give it a like. Again, check out my website at djmccree.net/store. I'll find everything very convenient there. You know, other videos and stuff like that. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section, because I would love to hear from you guys, always. And don't forget to subscribe on DJ McCree. And I am out.